Anime. 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 Anime and manga are probably one of my favorite, mediums for storytelling. It always makes me laugh when I meet people who are like, nah, dude, I don't like anime. Anime is cringe. That's shit for kids. And while yes, some anime is in fact cringe, and a lot of anime is for kids, my response to these type of people is generally, you just haven't watched the right anime yet. As I can almost guarantee you that there is one genre or one type of anime out there that even the most avid haters of anime as a whole would enjoy. To me, that is really the kind of beauty of anime and manga. Whether it's a classic power fantasy shonen, an epic psychological sports tale, a slice of life, a love story, a story of science and technology, hell, they even have banger anime about cooking. However, there is one type of anime, one genre of anime that I think deserves a lot more love and attention, and that, my friends, is horror anime. Hello everyone, I'm Finn. Welcome back to Finn Films. Join me today as we are discussing what I think might be one of the most hyped up upcoming horror anime that I've seen in years. Yes, even more hyped than that Junji Ito Uzumaki anime, which we are honestly better off not discussing here. No, I'm talking about the 2025 summer horror anime, The Summer Hikaru Died. So I've always been someone who's been drawn to the horror genre, the spooky, the weird, the mysterious, the psychological thriller. Now there are a number of really high profile horror anime and specifically manga out there. I mean, again, look no farther than the body horror works of one Junji Ito for an example of how manga can be made absolutely horrifying. However, when it comes to anime, specifically the anime form, it really has seemed like a lot of the horror genre really just doesn't seem to get that much love. While there are countless numbers of battle shonen, fantasy isekai, and slice of life type anime out there, there are relatively few high profile popular horror anime that have come out, especially in the last few years. Enter, my friends, The Summer Hikaru Died. Imagine the body horror of Junji Ito combined with the dark, ethereal, eldritch horror of something like H.P. Lovecraft. You throw in a little slice of life, a little dash of overly obsessed yandere-esque relationship, and you got yourself The Summer Hikaru Died. The Summer Hikaru Died tells the story of two childhood best friends, Yoshiki and Hikaru, two teenage boys living in a sleepy rural Japanese town. Despite being polar opposites and interested in completely different hobbies, the two have maintained a close friendship for most of their lives. However, that is all going to change on one cold winter day. Hikaru has decided to go hiking in the mountains alone when he experiences a terrible accident. As Hikaru lays dying alone on this mountainside, suddenly a strange shadow comes creeping through the forest, a strange spectral entity that then consumes his dying body. And in this moment, a new Hikaru was born. A Hikaru that looked, felt, and possessed the same memories of the original Hikaru, but was now a being that was altogether something different. A week goes by and no one has seen or heard from Hikaru, as his best friend Yoshiki begins to worry. Until suddenly, one day, he returns, seemingly completely fine and unharmed. But there's still one person who can tell that something is off. One person who knows Hikaru better than anyone else, who can see right through this being's disguise. His best friend, Yoshiki. Yoshiki asking him simply, "You're not the real Hikaru, are you?" As we watch in horror as Hikaru's face begins melting away, replaced by these strange eldritch-like tentacles that writhe and coil, as the fake Hikaru clings onto Yoshiki crying, begging him not to tell anyone, explaining that this is the first time that he has experienced a normal human life, that he may only be borrowing this body, but his feelings for his friend are real, and that he doesn't want to kill him. Yoshiki accepts that his close friend is gone, dead, and whatever this new Hikaru is, it's better to have them by their side than not have them around at all. And that is essentially the premise of our story, of this strange relationship between Yoshiki and this eldritch, horrifying, skinwalker-type being who has claimed his best friend's body. And if you detected, well, a little bit of boy love tension going on in this story and in some of these panels that I've showed you, then, well, you would be right. Apart from the body horror and the dark kind of Lovecraftian kind of eldritch horror type things, this yandere-like obsessive relationship that this new Hikaru has with our main character Yoshiki is very much a part of the ongoing horror of this story. And while this is definitely not something that I would normally say I enjoy in my manga or my anime, I have to say that in this context, not only is it creepy as fuck, to me, it's what makes it so goddamn good. As slowly over our story, we see more of this mystery be unraveled, specifically mystery involving Hikaru the human, along with the separate mystery of this strange eldritch-like, Lovecraftian being that is now skinwalking as him. All the while, the tension between these two characters begins to escalate, along with the ever-growing obsessiveness and just overall creepy as fuck yandere-like behavior of this new skinwalking Hikaru. This manga and its upcoming anime being kind of a horrifying example of like a relationship with a more obsessive, clingy, and kind of control freak of a partner. This partner also happening to be some kind of ancient eldritch horror spirit. And goddamn, does it kind of slap. Another thing that kind of makes this story really interesting to me is like ultimately how this story came to be as a manga. The first volume of the Summer Hikaru Died debuted in March of 2022 and went on to sell over 200,000 copies in just a couple of months. Very quickly, this manga becoming one of the most interesting and popular new manga in a very short period of time. All from a brand new, young debut manga artist that no one at the time had really ever heard of. Now you see, in the manga anime world, most manga anime artists have a pretty kind of traditional, well laid out path to success. They usually go to school to become a manga artist and then spend years working in studios, basically creating other people's manga, working as like sub artists for other more established manga, writers, manga editorial companies. Meanwhile, in the background, they're trying to come up with their own original stories, their own original manga, desperately trying to get themselves published. It's pretty well known that manga artists, along with like animators and artists, work incredibly long, arduous hours, and most artists never see their own original stories become popular. They never see the fame that many of the kind of big, high-profile manga artists that have created, really popular shonens out there ultimately gain. And those that ultimately do make it, that do become famous, that do have their manga ultimately kind of, become super popular in the mainstream, work for years to finally get to that point. So then it makes the story of how a manga like the Summer Hikaru Died becoming popular and ultimately getting published all the more interesting. From what we know, the artist and the series creator Moko Mokyoren first conceived of the idea of the story when they were only in high school, and then over time began kind of creating artwork for it. Artwork that they began posting to Twitter. Long story short, the internet does what the internet does best, and this artwork ultimately started going viral. It was then soon noticed by a publishing company who reached out to our young artist here and then approached them to make a deal to serialize their kind of brainchild story and turn it into an official manga volume. I know, that's kind of crazy, right? A high schooler's ideas and drawings, basically their personal kind of just like stuff that they're posting online, ultimately went viral by the time they graduated high school, and they now find themselves as one of the hottest and new up-and-coming manga artists in Japan right now. At the time of recording, 6 volumes of the Summer Hikaru Died have been released, with pretty acclaimed success around the world, with an anime adaptation by Cygames Pictures set to release in just a few weeks on July 6, 2025. And oh man, does the trailer for this anime look pretty freaking good. So in the span of like 5-6 years, this artist went from a high school student that was just posting their works online on Twitter to now a super successful serialized manga author, and their manga is getting a super hyped anime adaptation coming out this summer. Yeah, I'd say that's not a bad come up. So outside of this series' weird, twisted body horror, its eldritch kind of Lovecraftian-like themes, and obviously the freaky, obsessive, anxiety-inducing yandere-esque characters, one of the things that I love about the Summer Hikaru Died is its skinwalker themes. So So I grew up in the Midwest of America, and one of the biggest kind of like folk tales, things that we were taught to fear as children, was this idea of the Skinwalker, which largely seems to have come from Native American folk tales. Whenever I see a movie or like a piece of media and there's a character walking alone at night whistling, I immediately cringe in fear. As we were taught that this is basically just asking for death, as in kind of like folk tales over skinwalkers, whistling at night is a surefire way to summon a skinwalker and then fucking die. I don't know, there's something about this idea of like an otherworldly entity with very much bad intentions that can manifest itself as any type of creature, whether it be like a woodland little like fuzzy guy or a stranger on the street, or maybe, just maybe someone you know, that is absolutely terrifying to me. I mean, there's been like a tons of works of media out there that like utilize these kind of skinwalkery type tropes. I mean, arguably, literally the werewolf as a whole, as like a concept, as a theme, is kind of like a take on the skinwalker kind of folktale. I mean, hell, even the animagus wizards from something like Harry Potter, wizards that can turn themselves into animals like Sirius Black, is kind of an obvious reference, albeit a somewhat culturally insensitive one, to these Native American kind of mythology and folktales about skinwalkers. Maybe this is just like a Midwesterner thing, or maybe it's just limited to states with like a large Native American population, but the like skinwalker mythology and folktales are very much like an ever-present thing in my life, specifically growing up. And as such, I have a very healthy terror of them, and also a somewhat obsession. And I really love how the Summer Hikaru Died very much kind of employs these same kind of broad themes and tropes of something as horrifying as the skinwalkers. This idea of like an otherworldly being, some kind of creature or entity that is outside of our knowledge and understanding that can manifest itself in ways that our human minds just can't understand. Basically, a skinwalker walking amongst us as an ordinary human, maybe even your best friend, is absolutely horrifying. And because of all of this, the Summer Hikaru Died, in my opinion, is easily the anime that I am probably most looking forward to this summer, maybe even all year. And maybe unlike several other very hyped horror anime, Uzumaki, this anime might actually be able to live up to the lofty heights created by its manga. As always, guys, with these videos, these are just my thoughts and opinions, so please let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think about the Summer Hikaru Died? Are you hyped for it? Do you think that this anime is actually going to be good? Let me know in the comment section. If you did enjoy this video or learn something new, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as that is the easiest way to support me, and it really does go a long way, guys, in helping to put this video into the algorithm. If you did like this video, then why don't you check out some of my other content on screen now. And as always, guys, I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Until next time, peace, love, Auto.